Alright, so I didn't get access to the Monster Hunter Outlanders beta, which I'm slightly pissed about. But I kind of still want to give my opinions on the game as a Monster Hunter and a Gacha game fan. As you've seen before, I played Monster Hunter for a decent while, and also I've been playing many Gacha games over the last 5 years. The current games I'm playing include stuff like Withering Waves, Neverness Everness, Zenless Zone Zero, Limbus Company, and Umumusme Pretty Derby, because it's peak. But anyway, as someone that knows a bit about both, I kind of want to just give my opinions on what I've seen so far about Outlanders, and try not to doom post too much, but just give my opinions on it as a Monster Hunter and Gacha game fan. So yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so firstly I kind of want to start with the stuff that I think is the main appeal of the game. And to me that is a Monster Hunter mobile game, but the combat doesn't really suck as much. Because I think at the moment the only other Monster Hunter alternative on mobile is Monster Hunter Now. And the combat in that is pretty bad. I really don't like the way it feels, especially on certain weapons. And also the fact that there's the dumb health stamina kind of thing. And obviously it's Pokemon Go, which is obviously quite hard to play. But mobile Monster Hunter is definitely something that's going to be pretty good. So that's the main thing I'm hyped about. Again, there's other stuff as well. The fact that it's open world is kind of interesting. We'll see how it feels to actually play when I get my hands on it. But also the weapon design and the character designs are really good. Particularly obviously the limited characters, because I think the one benefit of it being a gacha game is that the characters have a lot more freedom of movement, right? Besides being limited to the base game like weapon types and movesets, obviously now they're given a bit more expression based on their archetype. Like we have the big bruiser character who instead of just a normal greatsword has the rocket greatsword, or the dual blade character who is more of kind of like a ninja look. The dual blades thus kind of represent that a bit better. And obviously like there's a whole bunch more, but I think the character designs themselves and the way the weapons are based around them and how they're different from traditional Monster Hunter weapons is very good. And I think that's something quite interesting. Another thing I like is that obviously, yeah, there's the in-game kind of monster, which kind of seems like the Radiant Knight kind of monsters, which seem alright. Like we'll see how challenging it is in the actual game, because one of the things I'm interested about is the overall difficulty of the combat, because obviously Monster Hunter can be viewed as a decently hard game, but with it being a gacha game, obviously it's got to appeal towards the more casual audience, and therefore obviously there's a lot of stuff that's a lot easier. Like for example, the monsters flash red, right? Which is akin to kind of obviously, other gacha games which have similar combat mechanisms to make it easier to see, right? And whilst this is kind of like the Monster Hunter Wilds flashing warning indicator, it still is a decent it's a decent decrease in difficulty, which I think will be interesting to see how it plays, because then obviously will the game become more harder in terms of actual like gearing and meeting a DPS check over actually fighting the monster? And that's what I'm not sure about, but we'll see how that goes. Anyway, here come cons that I have quickly. Obviously, firstly, not all weapons are there yet, so obviously one of my mains, Charge Blade, isn't there, which is kind of sucks, and also a bunch of other weapons. Additionally, there's also no new monsters, which I feel is a bit weird, given that even though it's a Monster Hunter game on mobile, it is kind of like a new thing. So I'm surprised there's no new monsters, or at least like one like maybe flagship or one like kind of smaller monster they include. That's a big waste, I feel, because they could have just put one in really, but they've all just got like the classic returning ones, so yeah, it's fine. And additionally, another main gripe I have is the art style and the graphics. From all the videos I've seen, the graphics don't look very good for a mobile game. Most modern gacha games look better than this. And also the art style, unfortunately, the art style just does not look like Monster Hunter. Again, as I said, the character designs and weapon designs themselves are good, but the way they're represented with the art style is not very good in my opinion, as it kind of just gives off that cheap Chinese 3D MMORPG game vibe instead of Monster Hunter, which I feel is a really big disservice to kind of the series. What else is there? Oh yeah, additionally, I think there are a lot of systems to manage in this game, because if we think about it, it's a gacha game which has all the elements such as like the character weapons, the skills, the artifact system, and then we also have Monster Hunter, which also has like the gears and the weapons and stuff like that. And having to combine those two means there's a lot of systems that you have to manage across 4 different characters in the game, which is a lot. So I'm not sure how that's gonna play out, but I do think that is definitely gonna make it probably a lot more confusing for newer players. And finally, obviously, the gacha itself. I don't want to rant too much on this, as this is pretty like talked about by most other creators, but I do want to specifically talk about the rates, what I feel, and in comparison to more modern gacha games. because at the moment the current gacha is 0.6% for an SSR, and there's a 50-50, which is obviously the standard kind of Hoyoverse gacha game. Like, whilst there is a 120 guarantee, so if you pull 120 times, you will guarantee to get the limited character. Overall, it's probably not the most free-to-play gacha game, and definitely probably the pull count's not going to be super generous, so I don't really have high expectations about that. And the fact that I think, unfortunately, compared to more modern gacha games, which have significantly improved their level of free-to-playness, such as, for example, Never's to Everness, which is one of the most recent ones, it has no 50-50 system, and it's only, I think, 80 pulls, or 80 or 90 pulls, to get like the character, which is obviously like way more free-to-play friendly. So I know other gacha games are kind of slowly shifting towards this model, like being more free-to-play friendly than like the initial Hoyoverse rates, but obviously Monster Hunter Outlanders not having this is a pretty detrimental, I think. So again, I hope that gacha isn't super bad in terms of the actual gameplay, but it's still a bit of a bummer that the way it's implemented obviously isn't the best. But again, I do like the concept of the gacha game with Monster Hunter, but obviously the actual gacha banners themselves aren't the best. And then finally, obviously, there's no PC or console, so I can't play this on my PC. But again, the thing is, I don't really think that's a negative, because if you have a PC or console, you should just play normal Monster Hunter, because why the hell should you play Monster Hunter Outlanders, a gacha game, which is going to be inferior to the normal Monster Hunter experience, unless you just want to play like a gacha game with a Monster Hunter skin. And so yeah, I don't think that's a major negative. But overall, I am excited for this game. I do want a mobile Monster Hunter in a sense. Obviously, this is kind of probably the closest we can get at the moment, but overall, it's kind of like they have a gacha game and they just put a Monster Hunter skin over it, which I feel is probably one of the main things I'm just slightly worried about, and in terms of the game's overall longevity in the future. Because I'm not gonna lie, the way I see this, when I look at this gacha game and this this Monster Hunter game and gacha game, I don't see it like lasting very long compared to like when I look at some other games, like the newer gacha games I see coming out, like Never's Everness again. I see, okay, this gacha game's probably gonna last like a couple years or so. But Monster Hunter Outlanders, it just doesn't look like it will last a lot, because obviously they got main like Monster Hunter games. Like, why would I play a gacha game on my phone if I have like the normal Monster Hunter series, and there's even going to be like the Wilds expansion and stuff coming out? So yeah, that's just my overall opinions on Monster Hunter Outlanders. I'm definitely going to play it a bit and maybe make a video on it when it comes out. But yeah, anyway, thanks for listening. Like and subscribe, comment what your thoughts about Monster Hunter Outlanders are. I'm going to probably make some more mix of like Monster Hunter videos and random ass videos of myself and things I find interesting, because again, I just need to find something that sticks. And yeah, so stick around and we'll see you soon.